Okay, today we're going to be having a look at how I color graded some of my Sony FX3 footage from a recent ski trip to Austria. This was shot in S-Log3 S-Gamut3.Cine, and I'm just going to be showing you my workflow inside of Davinci Resolve for how I manage this footage and how I color grade it. It's worth mentioning I'm no professional colorist. This is just what I've learned over the year or so I've been color grading from watching many tutorials on YouTube. Alright, so as you'll see, we've got 3 clips here from my recent vlog. We got the first one of me this is where I attached the camera to my skis using the small rig, like clamp arm thing. Just me walking around with it. This is one of my favorite shots. I just love the way the colors and the contrast. Everything comes together here. And then we've quickly got another shot here of me in the sauna. Again, these are all just shots from the vlog. But I wanted to include this one because, as you can see, it's quite a rich, warm environment, so it can be a bit tricky to get things looking all right. And lastly is just this cool shot from the plane window, which just is pretty epic. I love that. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll copy all of these and then we'll go over to color and basically just delete everything that we've got built so far. Okay, let me go back to here. Okay, so even with effects off or on, these are all just the basic shots in their normal form, alright? And this is what we're going to be trying to work towards, is these originals. So what I'll do is come over here and I'm going to grab my power grade, which I built. Okay, I'm just going to track that on. So let's have a quick talk through this. Make that full screen, close this down a bit, just bring this all into the middle. So this consists of a CSTN, which is taking the footage from S-Log3 S-Gamut3.Cine into Davinci's wide color space. Okay, that is the beginning of this. If you don't know what that is, there's far better people to explain it than myself, so it's worth doing some research. This tutorial is probably not the right one for you at the moment, but that's going to take it into a really wide color space for us to do all of our first adjustments. Again, if I'm doing anything wrong, let me know in the comments. Would love to know. And that takes us on to this compound node. Okay, so I've just pressed it into one. It's just a bit easier to work with. And inside of here we've got exposure, gamma, color redefine or refine, saturation, and then something called HSV set. I'm not entirely sure what this does. I think it just essentially represents the way saturation would occur in film emulation, thereby saturating the darkest parts of the image first and then kind of reducing saturation in the highlights, I believe. Could be wrong, but what I've decided what I'm going to start doing is just working my way through this grade. So we've got CST into S-Log3, S-Log3 back out to, Davinci Y Gamut back out to S-Log3. And then I've got a LUT here I apply at the end from Danny Gebertz, I believe his name is. So this LUT, on this footage I'm going to keep it at pretty much 100% intensity. Then let's turn on our Y Gamut adjustments. I'm going to disable all of them apart from exposure, see where we're at. Okay, the exposures looks pretty good. I'm going to drop it somewhere like there, so I don't really mind crushing stuff too much. I'd rather preserve the highlights because that's more like attention grabbing in this scenario. Okay, next up is gamma. The way I do gamma is I set it to gamma linear. It's just a really clean way to adjust the kind of overall blend and white balance of the image. So let's reset that. You want to do this in the primary game wheel. I think what I'm going to go for is just pushing a bit of warmth in to the point where it feels kind of inviting and the blues are doing something a bit more interesting. I think somewhere there. Okay, Control D is your friend. We can just see where we're getting things. So it's doing some pretty nice work. Color refine. This is a beast. It looks pretty complicated to begin with, but if you just push that up, let's get some teals in there. Maybe desaturate those a bit because they're a bit much. And the luminance of those, just leave that like that. I know this shot becomes a bit tricky when I turn around that way. There you go. Oh dear, it looks so good in my opinion. Yeah, let's see what's going on here. Okay, might drop the luminance of these a bit. No, I'm pretty happy with that. Saturation, right, this is a fun one. This is where I like to add some more density to the colors. So just by increasing this, you can see over here on the hills, my goggles, everything's just getting a bit tighter together. Kind of darkens it a bit though, which can be a bit annoying sometimes. Overall saturation, turn that up like literally 10%. So before, after, I'm going to dial back that density a little bit, I can't lie. Just little adjustments, And here's HSV, so hue sat there. The Filmic kind of saturation I was on about before. See what that's doing. Oh yeah, I like it. Can always come back to these. Okay, then this one is Filmic effects. So if we come on here, I've got split toning. Let's just disable all of these quickly. So split toning, I do quite like that. That's really punching my goggles and this stuff over here. I'm not sure about the shadows, if it's... Is that too much, or... Oh, dude, that looks sick. It can be a bit much on certain angles, but... I think for just that shot there, like, my goggles come alive with split toning on. The rich, reddy orange that it creates is just gorgeous. I'm going to keep that on. Next is vignette. Super simple, just kind of brings in the focus a bit more. Here I've got some blur effect, I think it's, yeah, radial blur. So I usually keep this about 250, depends. This shot already, if I turn it off, you can see it's already got a lot of motion blur around the edges because it's shot at 180 degree rule on a 12mm. I'm swinging my skis around like this, so obviously going to get a lot of motion blur already. But you know what? Fuck it. Chuck it on, get a bit more. Halation, this is again just some further film emulation. This is basically going to cause some red kind of bleed in the very highlighted areas and jaggedy edges. I don't really know how it works, but it's kind of emulating photo film back in the day where extreme light or extremely bright areas would cause the film to bleed. And it just creates this nice kind of effect, really. I'll show you some where it's happening. So if you keep your eyes focused on the highlights on this helmet, for example, that's a good spot. It just adds this nice soft red glow. You see it all around here as well. You can actually see my camera attached to my skis there, which is quite cool. Yeah, you see it well here as well. All of this just extra warmth and glow. It just makes the image that much more inviting, I think. So we'll keep that on. Here we've got some grain. Again, I tend to stick with 35mm 200T as a basic grain stock. I think it does a pretty good job. As you can see, it's just softening up the edges and the sky. It all just looks pretty epic, really. Maybe increase the softness. Just you're not really getting much back from what you're doing here. But overall, I mean, how many minutes is that? I'm not sure. Probably 10 or so. But we got a pretty solid grade, I'd say. So that is the before. That's where we're at now. It's quite extreme, quite punchy, but I mean, I think that just looks incredible. Myself. Like, what are those oranges? They're gorgeous. Gorgeous, in my opinion. So I'll turn these off. So we started with CSTs, but once you do both of those, it's literally the exact same as just, you know, the raw footage. So I'll put it back quickly. Turning those off and on, nothing's happening. Then we went into wide gamut adjustments. This is where we made a lot happen, although it doesn't really look like it. Sorry, no. We start with our LUT. So the filmy LUT I've got, that's carrying a lot. That's doing a lot of the lifting. Then our wide gamut adjustments, that's pretty much a lot of the bulk as well. And then some Filmic effects as well, just to really kind of tie it all together. I think maybe the split toning's a bit much. I'm not sure. It is cool, but like, yeah, fuck it, we'll leave it on. Yeah, so that's that grade. Let's go and compare that to the original clip, which I was aiming for here. Oop. If we just chuck that like that, and then do something like this. To be honest, a way better way to do this is literally just like this. So if we just disable this clip, it's pretty close. I mean, we were grading with preference to kind of this side of a clip where we're facing into the sun. So yeah, it's pretty damn close. I would just say overall saturation's a bit higher. It's a bit darker as well. And the oranges, I think the split toning has got a bit more going on. Probably because in this first clip, which I was trying to emulate, split toning is on actually. Which is a bit weird, but yeah, pretty good effort, I'd say. All right, we'll try this second clip now. Again, this is just me in the sauna. This is the one I already have graded here. Looks pretty cool. It's just me chatting away to the camera. Try and keep it PG. And let's, again, just get this grade. Slap that on. Okay. Now, it's pretty weird at first. It's a lot. So we'll turn off these guys. CSTs are done, and then it's just our LUT, which we're applying. I'm going to try this other LUT. Too ugly. No way. And what I'm going to do is, because this is quite a... There's a lot of dynamic range between the highlights and the shadows. I'm just going to adjust the LUT key output strength a bit, which is just this tab here. Quite like that. Let's go into the Y gamma adjustments. Okay, so first off is exposure. Let's see what this is doing. Again, those highlights are way too high, and I kind of want to bring down the skin tones on my chest a bit. So ideally I want it sat like here, at nothing above 900 IRE. And then I might just try and bring up those shadows a bit. This is something I never really do on the HDR wheels, because you just get pretty weird results, but yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe bring this up a bit more. Just sacrifice a tiny bit of like half clipping, because skin tones do not want to be there, but that looks pretty good, to be honest. Okay, next up is gamma. So our original, let's bring up our vector scope. Everything's just a bit high in the red. So on this we have got, again, linear gain, got the gamma set to linear. We're adjusting the gain in the color primary wheels, and we're just going to try and bring this back a little bit, I think. Somewhere like, yeah. Just kind of using my eyes and dragging this round in tiny movements every time. I do love the kind of warm look we've got in here though, so I might leave it quite hot, to be honest. Is that too much? I think that looks pretty cool, to be honest. Let's see again what this wheel's doing. Okay, so yeah, it's pretty horrible outside and a bit red in here. We should have this warm kind of glow to the whole space, which feels a bit more consistent. Maybe a bit too tinted and vintagey, but try chucking it into orange a bit more. Yeah, can't really tell what I've done, to be honest. Okay, next up is, again, just these curves. So let's have a look here. Always starting on hue, so I can see hue is just pushing stuff into the teals. That's fine. Saturation, probably want to bring those down a little bit hot. But I kind of like the color contrast going on right here between this and that. Looks pretty sick. Last off, we've got luminance. Weirdly though, if you look at the reds, this node seems to be affecting the reds in the sauna a bit, making them more hot, which I have no idea how it's doing, because we haven't even got an anchor affecting them or anything, so it's weird that they're moving. Maybe what I was doing there is just playing around with the luminance of these kind of panels. So as you bring up the luminance, it kind of just really nicely targets the shadows, which I wanted to bring up earlier. So I think that just looks a bit better. It also makes them more red and true, as opposed to being washed out with the linear gamma we did. I don't know, I love both, to be honest. Okay, I think about halfway is probably a good position. Maybe a bit lower, actually. Yeah, that looks cool, I think. Okay, next, saturation. Bloody hell. This is quite a powerful one. Let's just reset this. See if we want to add a bit of density. I'm good, personally. Maybe some saturation a little bit more. I think whatever that is, it's desaturating a bit, I guess. It's probably pretty nice. What I'm going to do is target the skin tones, actually. Maybe reduce some of the depth here. That looks pretty cool. Increase the saturation. if you're unsure about a node, generally I just kill it, which I was with that one. We'll try this, see what this does. Yeah, it's just crushing it too much. Just quite a busy image, so we'll leave that as it is. Okay, Filmic effects. Let's go on to here. Okay, this is all looking pretty cool, actually. Let's see if we want split tone. Absolutely not. That's just going to be a pain to work with in that environment. Vignette. No, these corners are already so dark, it just stands out too much here. And you're getting some weird effect against the glass. I'm not a big fan of that, so we'll leave that. Blur, I quite like what it's doing. Maybe a bit strong though. It's kind of just bringing the focus from outside to me. Let's have a look at on and off. I feel like the center position's not right on that, because my face is getting attacked. Maybe we could adjust the X and Y a bit. So, boom. Should be cleared there somewhere. Let's see what that's doing now. It's so subtle. We'll just drop it to 200. See if we can see a tiny difference. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, let's leave it on. Halation. It's doing a little bit. Just looking for any abnormalities caused by it on hot images, as in hot parts of the image. It's adding a nice bit of glow to my skin, but I'm just worried about the way it blows it up and saturation dealings and whatnot. Okay, next is grain. Turn this on. I love grain sometimes, but I can hate it at other moments. Let's really zoom in here. You can see what that's doing. I'm just going to dial it back a bit. I don't really know what I'm doing with grain, to be honest. I'm just going to increase the softness as my way of. So obviously completely de-soft, complete soft. Let's reset that and just work from there somewhere. I think that looks pretty good. Kind of barely tell it's there. Let's reduce that, make it a bit more gritty. Okay, yeah, you can barely tell the grains on there, which is kind of what you want. You don't want it to stand out, but you want it to work with the image. Yeah, I think that looks pretty cool. Cool. Let's compare this to the other original. See how it compares. Yeah, not entirely sure. So that is the difference we've made. It's quite a rich look, but again, you look at films. I was watching, for example, what was it? 28 Weeks Later, 2007 British zombie film. Anyways, a lot of that is just so dark. Like, we're not even talking 20 IRE, we're just talking completely crushed shadows. So I think going for something quite dark, contrasty and moody is fine. You just got to really go for it and kind of sit with that style and just make it a bit exaggerated. I'm not entirely sure, but again, I love the way this is looking. So let's bring this on top of the original and disable. Okay, yeah, it's looking very similar. I can tell right away if we disable this. This is all more in focus. We didn't have a Filmic kind of effects on the first clip. But yeah, I think what we've done is potentially better. The highlights are quite hot, but overall the image has got more punch, which I quite like. Teal's looking better for sure, and there's just a bit more grain and softness, but you do lose some detail because of the way the highlights are. I think what I might do, to be honest, is with this new clip we just did, go back into the wide gamut, Davinci intermediate, whatever it is, and just play that exposure a little bit more, just like whoosh, something like that. Okay, tell you what, we'll do that and then just try and drop the highlight a little bit. But I really don't want to kill the kind of punch that the image has by dropping those too low. Okay, gonna compare that now. Yeah, look at that, exposure wise, potentially even better than the original, but we just got more shadow depth and the image feels, oh, that's lovely. Yeah, so that's that image done. And thirdly, we've got this plain window shot, which we're just going to try and grade quickly. So that is what we're going for. Cool. And this is what we have. Just plain. So again, just using my power grade. If you guys want access to this, by the way, let me know. Obviously, I can't give you the LUTs. I did pay for that. But if you search Danny Gavert's Filmy LUTs, that's where I got it. So you can go pick them up from there. But if you want everything apart from this, so the CSTs and kind of these nodes set up to HSV, gamma set to linear, all the tools I kind of picked up along the way, let me know. I'll be happy to drop them. As well, what you can do with this node structure, which is quite cool and something I did for a while, is just use the Kodak 2383 LUTs built into Davinci Resolve. So if you have a look here, film looks, you've got all these inbuilt film stocks. When you hover over them, they look a bit crap. That's because they need a certain CST mode, which we can have a look at later, but for now I'll just grade this the way I would do usually. So first things first, let's go for exposure. I kind of want to bring it down to a point where this looks nice. I don't really care so much about the crushing around the window, because that almost further draws your eye into the image. And we've still got quite a lot of pop from that sun, which I like. Yeah, so it's dark there, and then still getting a nice amount of light coming through. Bring it up a little bit more. Okay, cool. Gamma. Let's reset this. It's usually what I do every time. And just navigate round. Just kind of swinging in circles. Okay, instantly. I love the way this is looking. Up into this golden kind of... Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is sweet. Look down here. That is incredible. Love that. Love that already. You can see where we came from. Pretty blue. Not great. And now, yeah, it just warms everything right up. Color refine, again, it's just these curves. Don't even know what's going on with that one. We'll leave it. So here we got an attempt to push some teal into the image. Seems to be doing a little bit up in the sky. Seems to be adjusting this as well, so maybe I've got a saturation. Yeah, not too sure what's going on there, but okay. I quite like, I think the sky's quite blown out. Maybe just dropping a bit more teal in there could be quite a cool move. That's really desaturated, but that looks pretty cool. Look, we might not be replicating perfectly the image I had before, but oh man, this looks awesome, I think. Just control those reds a bit more and just try to boost the saturation on the orange light kind of coming through here. If I should get rid of that, oh yeah, and reinstate that, and then reset that, and reinstate that. That's looking pretty cool. Pretty cool. Okay, this saturation node. You know what? Image looks great. I'm gonna leave it. HSV. Oh yeah, for this node, by the way, it's just the color space set to HSV, which is hue saturation. Hue saturation value? I'm actually not too sure. Anyways, if you set it to that and then disable channel 1 and 3 and just have channel 2 on, you're basically just adjusting the saturation, but in a weird color space, and that just gives you a cool filmic saturation. I explained it earlier. Anyhow, let's see if this is gonna benefit us. Looks okay, but just worried we're really kind of pulling the image apart now. I'm gonna say no, just leave it. Okay, let's go into the filmic effects. All of these are on by default, but let's just start with split toning. That's really messing up that, so I'm gonna leave it. Vignette, I think we could probably even go more vignette, to be honest. Like, it's quite an ugly way to do it, to be honest. Oval. If we increase the softness a lot, there we go. Okay, let's reduce that a bit more. I think that's quite a nice touch. I'm going to leave it on for now. Again, the blur, Let's see where we are with this center position. This is something to watch out for. And then let's just blur the hell out of it so we really know where it's focusing about. Okay, so just about there really. We might want to push that more so we've got more of a wing as the focus. And then potentially, oh yeah, I think dropping it down somewhere so the focus is around here. It's quite cool. I'm just going to slide this right on back to a point where it starts to have effects. Like you see here, it's on the right side. Sorry, over here. It's going a bit blurry already. I quite like adding that there. I think that looks pretty cool. The image just adds this kind of vintage, swirly, imperfect feel. It's lovely. I think it really guides the eye nicely as well. It's just like steep power plane traveling. I don't know. It's cool. I like it. Some people are probably going to hate it, but I think it makes the image look quite cool. Halation. Could be cool. Let's zoom in on the areas it's affecting, see what it's doing. Okay, getting a little bit of halation on areas like here. Let's turn it off one time. Back on. Off. Quite like it. Yeah, I think that can probably stay. It's not overdoing the image too much, but it just adds, yeah, I reckon in fact we can probably turn this up. Yeah, no, I like that. We'll keep it on one more time. Yeah, looking pretty sweet. And let's get some grain on again. Just doing 35mm 200T, whatever that is. I like it. It's just adding this. Look at that. Just this rich kind of vintagey organic feel to your film. Down here, if you just the way we got that swirl, the warmth coming through from our linear gamma adjustment. And then this grain on top, just adding this softness here. Looks like noise, but the way your eye perceives it when you're not focusing on it is so different. It really does add to the image. So the halation as well. Beautiful, beautiful. So that is me done with that image. One thing I could do is come to the LUT here and just adjust the key output value. But I honestly kind of like the extreme look we've pushed there. All the way up. It's pretty bit much. Yeah, just wiggle it to about there. So you can't even tell with these micro adjustments, but that is awesome. That 0.922, so it's basically at full strength. But it's a bit dark, but a lot of this shot is with the sun indeed out. And even still, when the sun's behind the wing and it's a bit darker, it's still looking pretty good. And when that comes out, that is filthy. Very happy with that one. Okay, so let's drag you above the old one and see where we're at. We'll do a shaded comparison first. Again, so it's kind of more saturated and a bit darker. To be fair, in this video I have got pretty carried away and just become obsessed with trying to make it look as good as possible and go for a more extreme look, which why not? If you're enjoying it and the image looks great, which I think it does, go for it. But yeah, it's not terribly close to the original clip which I was trying to emulate, but it does look bloody good. Yeah, so the first one's definitely less contrasty. You can see the shadows a bit better. There's less filmic kind of effects that I've rendered on, such as the blur, which is kind of attacking a lot of the area. But overall, I definitely prefer the second one we done. That looks cool. There's a million ways to do a clip, you know, and they both look great, but I imagine on the bits where the wing drop, yeah, when the sun comes out, I much prefer the one we've just done. I mean, look at that. That's the trade-off. The shadowed version looks just as good, if not better, on the previous clip, but when the sun comes out, whoa, the new one looks far better, I believe. Yeah, boosh. Boosh. It looks awesome. I just love this cloud down here with this kind of light flare. The lens I shot this on, the 12mm Laowa, creates some really cool lens flares. You just get these awesome, what is that, hexagonal? Pentagonal? I'm not sure. Looks hexagonal to me. Optics. Yeah, just the different bits and aperture blades within the lens. The way those kind of create these lens flares is awesome. Got another spec there again. Just a little pentagon. or hexagon, I'm not sure. So that's those 3 clips done. Now, like I said as well, if you don't have the LUTs I'm using, what you can do is keep everything the same. So all of these nodes up to CST. And then where you've got these LUT nodes, what you can do is use one of the inbuilt LUTs from Davinci Resolve. So what I did for so long was use the, no, not Fujifilm. What is it? It's the Kodak 2383. And you want the Rec 709 ones, I think. So let's go with basically D55 and 65 and 60 are all just different color temperatures, I believe. So what is this? I don't know what that is. Anyways, so 60 is going to be middle warmth, 55 is going to be warm, and 65 is going to be cool. So let's just do 55, try and warm it up a bit. Now it doesn't look right, even with this compound node detached. It just doesn't really feel like a LUT that's working incredibly well. And that's because these LUTs actually need something called Rec 709 and Cine film log. So do a CST to that, and then what you also need to do is a CST out. So if we just copy this, paste it there, it looks rubbish, but it gets better. We flip from where we've just CST to, so Rec 709 Cine film log, and we're going to go out to Rec 709. I'm going to go to Gamma 2.4. I just quite like the way that looks. I know it's broadcast standard, and for some social media sites 2.2 is better, but I've just got my whole timeline set up for 2.4, I believe. So let me have a quick look. Yeah, it's all done for Gamma 2.4, so I'm not going to change it for now. But yeah, there you go. You've got the Kodak 2383 LUT on here. Yeah, and it's pretty intense. I do love these LUTs for the way they emulate colors, but what they can do is just make the lighting contrast so extreme. So oftentimes you'll have to dial it right back. And even still, we're at, 200, so like a 250 quarter strength here. And the light is still mad, and you're getting no color benefit. So what you might want to do is leave that at 100%, open up Y gamma adjustments, bloody hell. Yeah, this is quite intense to work with, as you can see, and just maybe bring down the whole image. Sometimes with these LUTs, what works best is just working in the normal color tab, and all you have to do is just kind of bring down those highlights a bit. Yeah, they're a pain to fight, man. They really are. Bring up the shadows. I'm sure this will look great when the sun's behind the wing, but man, when it's out in full force, they're intense to work with. Yeah. But yeah, the way these LUTs render colors is gorgeous. Yeah, looks very nice indeed. Let's compare it to what we were doing before. Where's this shot? Oh, it's just stuck at the start. Yeah, I think that looks a lot more tolerable. But if you look at the waveform on this one, it's just pretty chaotic. You've got clipping central, crushing central. Way too overexposed, way too saturated. I could be making more adjustments, to be fair, but yeah, these LUTs are great for a lot of stuff, but they can be very tricky to work with. To get them to a point where you can actually use the footage. Maybe somewhere like that actually would work well. Let's see what's going on here. I think that looks pretty good. Let's just quickly try and grade this actually. So check this gamma up into there somewhere. Color refine, yeah, seems good. Saturation, nah, don't need it. Let's do the HSV, kind of filmic saturation. What it's done for oranges I quite like, so we'll leave that on. Filmic effects. God, I love the way these just work. I think it looks really cool. Bring back the blur, to be honest. Change that a bit so the EasyJet's less blurred. All looks pretty cool. Halation, yeah, grain, whatever, cool. So that is, again, a pretty cool look, but this time done with the Kodak 2383 LUT, as opposed to the ones I've been using myself. Whoosh. Yeah, that's gorgeous. Not sure which. This image looks pretty good too, to be fair. I mean, it is a lot brighter, but because of that, you're getting more halation occurring, which looks pretty cool. So yeah, goes to show you don't need, you know, to spend the money on the LUTs and stuff. It's just kind of what I've gotten used to, and the workflow I use is with these LUTs. It does look particularly dark when I look at it now. I'm not sure if I'm just on the wrong part of the video or what. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's weird. Your eye can get so distorted when you spend too long color grading, but that is it. That is my workflow for some of these clips. Again, like I say, if you want this power grade, let me know in the description. I can drop it. So give me a comment and I can give it to you guys if you're interested. But it's pretty simple. Again, there's some tips in there that I've just picked up from years of color grading. Well, just under a year actually. But it seems to be what's working well for me at the moment. And I'm very happy with the results I get on my footage. Again, all of these clips were from Austria. If you guys are interested in checking out the full video, it should be on my channel soon. But it's currently in review for a copyright strike because I used lots of music in there, which is a bit annoying. And for professional inquiries, please email ben@aerialadvantageuk.com. I'll also leave that in description because it's quite a long email. But that is it. Let me know if you want more videos like this. See you soon.